to be honest, right now in the current state, I don't trust fighting game developers to be able to handle like the F2P model properly, and I feel like they will ruin franchises if they try to do it without gaining some experience or transitioning little by little. But hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Bachiru. So I've seen a video that Maximilian posted regarding making like fighting games free to play. And to be honest, this is a subject that I've been thinking about for a very, very long time, actually. And I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter. First things first, Twitter is a landmine. I don't like browsing Twitter, especially for takes and opinions. But in this video, I just want to chime in. It's like, I don't think we should go for a free-to-play model yet. I will explain why. But on the other hand, actually, there is a lot of problems currently with fighting games pricing that I want to discuss in this video. And I feel like eventually we need to go to a free-to-play model, but we have to solve some issues first with the current way that fighting games are priced or they are produced to us, like as gamers first, then actually we can move to that kind of price model. Because right now I feel like fighting games pricing is stupid. It is ridiculous and it needs to change, to be honest, guys. So as usual, if you enjoy the content, guys, you know what to do to support me with the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so let's start first things first. I feel like right now any fighting game that comes out is not really worth the $60 asking price. Let's discuss why. Usually any fighting game that will come out like in this time and age, it's not really worth $60. What they're usually doing for you is like they're asking you not for $60, they're asking you like for $90 or $80. Sometimes it will go up to $100 because every single fighting game now, like they decide to include something called like a season pass. There are exceptions usually, but it's like few games. Like for example, like in recent memory, I think the only game that's releasing DLC for free is like Multiplat Type Lumina. But that game, maybe they're doing it out of goodwill. But if you look at recent games that came out, like Dragon Ball Fighters came out with a season pass, Guilty Gear Strive, King of Fighters, you know. So I feel like when developers like they're releasing a game for you, first things first you need to do. If you're asking $60 and there's a season pass, no thanks. You should always make the season 1 content for free. Let me tell you why. A lot of people will say, oh, but these like extra characters, like they cost time and they cost money to time and money to develop. But let me be real with you. When it comes to business and when it comes to companies, whenever they're releasing a product or they're releasing like a game, for example, like they consider the product life cycle. So for example, let's say that we're developing X fighting game and it needs this amount of money to be released. They're not really thinking about only this amount when they're releasing the game. They're thinking how much the production cost will go like for a year or for a 2. So usually when a fighting game gets released, already the cost of production like for 1 season is already factored in the original budget of the game, and that's usually how they meet targets. So the decision whether to continue supporting a fighting game or not, like for a long run, it depends really on the sales targets. Companies, video game publishers, they are businesses at the end of the day, and the goal of a business is to make money. So when they're usually attaching like $30 to a season pass to a $60 game, this is extra money for them, by the way. So don't go into the like impression that, oh, they need this money to develop the characters. No, this money is already factored in your $60. This is all extra money just to justify like, oh, we will continue to support the game, or this is like extra profit. So I feel like we should never really pay for season 1 in any fighting game. The other thing is that, honestly speaking, like for fighting games, like when they get released, not a single fighting game is ready on release in recent memory, to be honest. There are like very rare exceptions for a fighting game like to work from day 1. Because honestly speaking, if you buy a fighting game like day 1, in recent memory it feels like you're beta testing the games. Because especially with COVID, like the Japanese developers, they're rarely introducing betas and the games are not getting released to the arcade. So usually when you're getting like version 1.0, it's not really version 1.0. You're getting like a beta that will be patched like a few months later. This is like a reality. It's also applicable for other games, but I feel like this is more evident in fighting games lately. Because not only you're struggling like with the game balance and figuring out mechanics and like highlighting to the developers, oh, this is what's wrong with your game, like, oh, nerf this character, buff this character. The other thing is that a lot of time actually the online will be having issues. Like, I'll give an example. Like, for example, we have Guilty Gear Strive. This game had betas. It was excellent, actually. They listened to a lot of feedbacks, but when the game released, we until now suffer like from the long login when the first game comes, like when you try to boot up the game, and a lot of times you have like this connection error when you try to get into a game. Another game actually that has a slew of online issues, like on release, was Multi-Blood Type Lumina. Okay, they charged you $50, but the online is broken. It was broken. Until now, it's broken. So what gives, you know? The other thing is that, like I mentioned, also the game balance. So balance takes time to figure out. So usually, like, you're testing a game for the developers when you're like an early adopter for a fighting game. And for me, that doesn't really sit well with me. I feel like if you're charging me $60, $80, $90, sometimes $100, I paid like $100 for Guilty Gear Strive to get the ultimate edition, you know? So I don't have to worry about the DLC later. So it's not worth it. I feel like if you're making a season pass day one, make your game fully $60. I feel like a game that like realized this and they fix it immediately on the spot is Baby Tag. When Baby Tag first came out, like they had like 20 characters in the initial roster, and they promised like within the first year or first 6 months they will release like the other 20 characters. So, and they charge people like $60 and like there's a season pass. So I feel like there was a community backlash, but what they actually did is they reduced the game price to $40. And if you want to get like all the characters, like the 40 characters as they get released, you would pay like $60. I felt like this was actually a good compromise. And Baby Tag, for its time, before like rollback became so widespread, actually it had a good idea, you know. So it had a good online modes, it had a good gameplay somehow. Yeah, but yeah, that's it. So that's point number one. Point number two actually is that a lot of times if you're an early adopter of a fighting game, you're really paying more than the people who jump on later down the line. So let's say, for example, you picked Dragon Ball FighterZ. So you paid $60 in release. You paid, I don't know, like $20 or $30 for the season pass. That's season 1. So you've had like season 1, season 2, season 3. So you're a competitive player. You're one who wants to support the game and wants to keep up with all the characters then on the matchup. So basically, until now, you paid like, let's say on average, the season pass is $60. So you paid $60 on release. Then you pay $20 for each season. So let's say you paid like $120. $120 is a lot of money for a game, by the way. So you're only paying for characters. And to be honest, I feel like this idea of season passes, the pricing model really needs to change, because you keep paying. Then eventually down the line, like let's say, for example, my friend who wants to get into a fighting game, they would like get like the definitive edition. It's like $40. Okay, why the person who's supporting the game from the very beginning is being punished while someone who wants to jump into the game later on, they're paying like less than half of the price, you know? So for me, this is weird. I feel like if you're someone who buy the game day one, either you get all the season pass characters for free, or you can like support the developers in some other way, like with monetization or etc. Or the other way is that, like, if you buy the game on release, make the DLC cheaper for the people who play the game, you know. So instead of charging them like $30 for a season pass, charge them $10. Or if you know people like get the vanilla version, like get them like to pay like $30 or $40, but guarantee them that they will get all the DLC until the game's end life cycle. I feel like people who adopt games early, they need to be rewarded for their loyalty, like with the game. I feel like this pricing model is really weird. Like, for example, if you want to get into Street Fighter 5 now, you would pay like $40 and you would get all the characters and all the DLC and all the customs. I don't know, and a lot of things. But for example, if you are someone who's as stupid as me and they got the game on release, you got 12 characters, you got barely functional online, 0 offline modes, and I paid $60. I want now to play Street Fighter 5. I have to pay for the Championship Edition upgrade. You know, this is stupid. I supported you from the beginning. Where's my reward, you know? So I feel like this really needs to change. And the last thing is that actually, like, with the way that currently fighting games are priced, it is so hard sometimes for someone like actually to understand what's the right version to get. So let me switch my window now and I'll give you a few examples. Let's say, for example, I had this conversation before with my wife. Like, she wants to get into Tekken because she really likes Tekken, and I wanted to try Tekken. So I wanted to buy Tekken. So I would go to Steam. I would say, like, buy Tekken 7. So this is, like, I think the base game. Then buy Tekken Originals Edition. Then buy Tekken 7 Definitive Edition. So what's included in these editions? Then you have to go here, and you have to read all of this, and this is the things that are included, So it's so confusing sometimes, actually, just to get into a game and and figure out what do you need to buy. The other thing is that, like, for some games, the DLC spread is stupid. The pricing that you're seeing here right now is like the Saudi Arabian pricing for DLC, which is actually much cheaper than outside, like the rest of the world. Like, there's like 24 DLC for Tekken. Oh my god, where do I start? Like characters, customs, season passes, It's so confusing. Guilty Gear, for example. We're still at the beginning of Guilty Gear. So you have the standard edition and you have the deluxe edition. So this game, like the deluxe edition says it includes like the game and the season 1. Season 2 comes out. Special edition. Season 3 comes out. Ultimate edition. Type. I paid for the standard edition. Later down the line, the amount of money that I will pay to have the same experience as someone who will buy like the ultimate edition, I will end up paying more, and I've been supporting your game since day one. Another one, Street Fighter. Championship upgrade kit. Championship edition. Season 5 premium. Like, come on, developers. Figure a better way to price your fighting games. Even a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ. Ultimate edition. $120. Seriously. 29 DLC. I don't even know where to start. This needs to be sorted out. Come on. I feel like a game that is doing this well right now, even though the game is not really that great when it comes like to an experience, is Multi-Blood Time Lumina. They came to you and they said, we're sorry for botching the release of the game. Here you go. All DLC for season 1 is free. This is a good compliment. But like this, I don't know. The last thing I want to talk about is fighting games. It's like they evolve as they get developed, and I know that this incurs cost on developers, but I feel like they need to eat some of that cost at first, because one of the big hindrances for a fighting game is like the small player base. Like, we like to say that fighting games are getting big, but they're not really. Because for me, I feel like the barrier of entry for fighting games, even from a financial perspective, is like really, really high actually. So let's say, for example, I'm someone who's a casual gamer. I'm not into fighting games seriously, and I want to try Guilty Gear 5 because the graphics nice, or etc. I have to pay full price to get into the game, or to wait for a sale. There is no way to dip your toes. And I know like people will tell me like there are refund policies and etc. But this is a hustle, and this is like, it takes time. There should be something like to incentivize people just to be able to try the game, to see if they like it, so they will invest time into it. Because I feel like right now, if you want to play a fighting game, you have to commit, you have to pay money actually, and if you don't like it, I feel like you're stuck. And I feel like this intimidates a lot of people into getting into fighting games, because you have to pay like $40, $60 just to try a fighting game to see if you like it. And we live in COVID times, so it's really hard to visit friends, and like buy games or do game sharing and those kind of things. So I feel like we need to have versions of fighting games that will allow you to try it, not like a demo version. It's like something similar to what Killer Instinct did, which is like free to try. Because a lot of times I talk to my friends and I'm like, oh, you should definitely play Multi-Blood. And they're like, yeah, but can I try it? And I'm like, no, you have to buy it. And they go like, oh, it's like $50. Nah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it. And for me, this is the same, to be honest. I want to try a lot of different fighting games, but I'm not so sure if I'm gonna like it, to be honest. So we need to have like versions of fighting games that will allow you to go online, that will allow you to do training mode, that will allow you like to experience like the real meat of the fighting game without giving you the full experience. Like, for example, my suggestion would be like a free version of a fighting game. No need to unlock the full roster. This is like, let's call it like trial or like try out phase or try out edition or whatever. So for example, they will allow you like to choose 2 characters that you want to try. So when you try the game for free, for example, let's say I'm playing Guilty Gear 5, so I will try Ram Lethal and I will try like Happy Chaos, for example. Then I will have access to like room matches and training mode, for example. So I will not be able to unlock like the story, the arcade, the combo maker, the challenges, etc. So it's only like tutorial, training, room matches, or the floor matches, or whatever you call them in Guilty Gear 5, and you just try the game. So if you like it, You go and you unlock the full version. You don't like it, that's it. So I feel like before we go into like the free-to-play pricing model, I think we have to walk little by little steps. So we need to reduce the price of current fighting games. We need to figure out a way to handle season passes, and we transition eventually to a free-to-play model, because free-to-play model has a lot of money potential. See games like Genshin Impact, the Grand Blue Fantasy, I don't know, Fortnite. You know, they're making a lot of money. But to be honest, right now in the current state, I don't trust fighting game developers to be able to handle like the F2P model properly. And I feel like they will ruin franchises if they try to do it without gaining some experience or transitioning little by little. But I feel like eventually we need to go there, but we're not ready yet. But currently, fighting games, they're stupidly priced, and the pricing model is stupid, and it's actually predatory on the consumer. And I hope this changes, and I feel like we need to voice this concern actually, because it's starting to get out of hand, especially with like season passes and DLCs and the way that they're introducing content. Because sometimes they're giving us like free-to-play pricing stuff included in the game. I paid $60. Why am I paying $5 for a stage? Come on, Capcom. What are you doing in here, you know? And I'm like, come on, this is stupid. This should not happen anymore. So yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be making some videos regarding Strive and what is it called again? Yeah, DNF Duel. So yeah, just look out for it. I still have my arcade stick project I want to make, and I have a new project for my setup coming up soon. So yeah, guys, stay tuned. Let me know what's your opinion below in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next video. Yalla, peace.